Y'all, today's podcast is going to be so good because I am just so curious. I told Tiffany right before we hit record, I was like, actually, stop. Don't tell me any of the things because I want all of this goodness recorded for the podcast. So Tiffany Hill is joining me. She is the Pink Crumb over on Instagram. Think Pink Bakers. Thanks for being here.
You are very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited because I was just telling Tiffany before we hit record, and just the only 2 minutes we connected, that we only have like one mutual connection on Instagram. I don't understand how I started following her. I am definitely not a baker, but I love your videos. I love your story. So I went down the rabbit hole and then I was like, I'm just going to reach out to this woman because she is like the perfect person for deciding it was her turn, and the confidence and the fear and the overwhelm and creating what is now an unbelievable business. So I'm so excited to get to dive into all the things.
I'm excited to share. I'm happy to be here after hearing all that.
Oh my God, so exciting. So tell everyone kind of who you are, and then we'll kind of really dive into it, like who you are, what you do.
Okay, so I'm Tiffany Hill. I am a home baker. I had a very traditional long-time career prior to launching my home bakery. I always baked on the side. But nowadays, I still run my home bakery, but I primarily teach other home bakers how to operate their home bakery and how to have the confidence to launch their home bakery and how to just kind of get going with that and really, truly make sure that it is profitable and they keep their passion for baking.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is like a God thing. I don't know if you're a person of faith, but it is such a God thing for me that like what you said, because I don't do it through baking, but I'm like so passionate about people like making money and absolutely loving their lives and doing all of the things. So I have a question that I think is probably helpful to ask. Did you love your life prior to this situation, or were you, because for myself, I know we don't know each other. I was very much like, I was a professional athlete. I was modeling, I was television. I was doing something that like was very out of alignment, even though it looked amazing. It was what I was told to do and that I thought was going to make me happy. And then newsflash, it didn't. But were you in alignment with your life before you started this?
Well, that's a tricky question. I would say I wasn't, but I don't know that I was aware that I wasn't. And so I was just doing, what I needed to do. And I would say that now on the other side of that, I am much more in alignment. And I can see that clearly now. Um, and so I think it was just, going through the journey of trying to discover, well, why am I going to make this change? I'm going to make it, even though I'm so scared to do so. And now having the hindsight to look back and say, yeah, I mean, I was actually completely out of alignment, just not really recognizing that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's helpful because I think, I knew I was out of alignment, and I think it's helpful for when someone says, I actually didn't realize that I was, but now that I am in alignment, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So for those who don't know, Tiffany's Instagram account, head on over there right now. I'm going to tell you guys right now, she is on your Instagram stories the other day. I was telling my husband this last night at dinner. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm interviewing this woman tomorrow for the podcast. She's going to be the perfect person. I go, babe, look at this. She has had 47,000 people take one of your courses in the last 2 years. Is that a true statistic?
Well, that is kind of true. So there are about over 6,000 people, bakers in the community, and them combined, they have enrolled in 47,000 courses. So a lot of them take multiple courses. So that statistic is correct. Well,
no, that is correct. Let's just say that is unbelievably correct, because I will be honest with you, anyone who knows anything about this business knows that even having 6,000 people in a community is ungodly and amazing in such a short period of time. I've interviewed Ashley Alderson, who has one of the biggest communities in the whole entire world, the Boutique Hub. And, I think do you know her?
No.
Where do you host all of your platform? Is it Thinkific? Is it?
It's Thinkific.
Thinkific. I think she's Kajabi, and I believe in Kajabi, she is the #1 community in the world on Kajabi, which is like, you know what,
Really?
yeah. Ashley Alderson, the boutique hub. It's unbelievable. I think she has 60,000 people in her community. But anyway, you have 6,000 people in your community. And I think this is so amazing because anyone who knows anything, creating a community online is not a small feat. And what you have been able to do is truly spectacular. And I obviously like want to dive all into that. But how did this actually come about? Because I know that people are, now that you guys realize how big of a deal Tiffany really is and what she's been able to create, like this is extraordinary. How did this all come about? Because I want everyone to kind of hear the full thing, and we'll talk about all the fears and the decisions and the emotions along the way. But how did this come about? Tell us.
Well, I was in my prior career, I was doing something similar. I was creating teacher credentialing programs, submitting them to the state of California, getting approval, and then individuals who needed to start earning an income tomorrow could join the teacher credentialing program while they were working full-time in their own classroom. So they were called interns. So it was very cost effective for them. They were able to start earning an income, and then my team and we were there to help support them through there. So they had a very, very busy schedule. So when I decided that I was going to shift to entrepreneurship, I needed a program like that. I knew nothing. I didn't have a business sense. I did not believe that I had an entrepreneurial mind at all. And nothing really existed that was kind of a full program of here's how you handle marketing on social media. Here's the best place to sell. Here's what you can do to start earning an income right away. Because I had walked away from a career that was, providing me financial means that it was very difficult to walk away from that. And so I just had to really learn through the ropes. And then as I started to gain some momentum, Instagram sent me an invite to start their new subscription. They had like a subscription where people could subscribe to your account. And I actually started with that. I thought, well, maybe I can start sharing all my tips in like a subscriber area of my Instagram. That was in, I believe, November of last year. And that took off pretty quickly. And what I realized was that, well, Instagram is not a course platform. So I'm really struggling to get my content in a manner that I would prefer, because I was coming from a background in course creation. And I'm like, Instagram's fabulous, but it's not the best place to house a course. So I was trying to find all these workarounds. So then I thought, I need to take this out of Instagram and really, truly do it justice and start a community on a website platform or a course platform, which is what led me to Thinkific. And I launched the community outside of my social media in March of this year. So that's how fast it's grown.
Insane. This is insane, you guys. I literally want you to understand, because I know the back end world of what you're talking about. And you created a community. Now, were you running paid ads or anything in the beginning to the community?
The only thing I do, and I still do, is I boost my reels if they are a reel that says,
something
hey,
about
here's what the community is about. It might help you. Yes. Outside of that, I don't do any Facebook ads. I've tried. I can't, to be completely transparent, I can't really figure out Facebook ads. So if anybody out there knows and they can help me, let me know. But really, it's just been a simple, let me boost this reel. This one will get out to people so they know about the community. Very minimal advertising.
Unbelievable.
But I do have the algorithm. I feel like I have a very good sense of the algorithm on Instagram. So a lot of the reels get pushed out already.
And I feel like that is so smart what Tiffany just said there, guys, because everything that I talk about in my coaching is mindset and strategy. And she is saying something that I think is really, really important for you guys, especially in the beginning. If you are boosting something and you do not know that messaging is 100% bang on. So she is telling you she knows what she needs to put out in order to target her exact ideal client that is looking for something that she's provided. And I think a lot of times people do not have that 100% clearly articulated marketing where they know when they put that content out, it is going to resonate perfectly with their audience. So pay attention to that. Before you go and waste your money, make sure you know exactly who you're talking to, exactly who you're speaking to. And that's what Tiffany's saying by she knows what is going to clearly hit home with her audience.
Yes, very much so. And I will say, I think that my price point was a really, really key
I want to
factor.
talk about this because I think this is genius. I think exactly what you were talking about. You have a very low price point in regards to a lot of online courses. Was that something that you very much specifically thought about when you started this? Like the business side of you you say you weren't an entrepreneur, but I mean, obviously you've got some great business sense because girl, this does not happen, without having some great business sense.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. It was a learning curve, but I just kept pushing forward.
We'll talk about the mindset because that's my favorite part, but let's talk about the actual strategy behind it first.
Okay. The price point was very intentional. So it is $4.99 a month or $50 for an annual subscription. So it is really, really low. And the reason why I did that was because when I left my career and I knew, okay, I've been baking for 3 decades, but I've never been brave enough to really sell my baked goods. There was a mindset issue there as well. And I knew that I need my profits in my pocket. And so taking courses was not going to be an option because I needed to make money, not be spending money. And so I knew there's other bakers out there who are in either a similar position or possibly even a more desperate position, and they need to learn how to do this. And taking their profits from them is not really something that's going to be helpful. And I really felt strongly that I'm creating content that I created one time in the course, and then I'm able to continue to offer that. So why would the price point be so incredibly high that people can't access it? So I really had to ask myself, do I want to impact 20 people or do I want to impact 20,000 people? And I would want to impact 20,000 people. So how can I price this in a manner where any baker who needs to earn money is able to take my program and not feel that, can I afford that? And of course, there are still, I am not trying to say that anybody can afford it because there are still situations where you just can't. But at least I felt that there would be a much higher percentage of bakers who could benefit from that without feeling that guilt of, should I spend money on this? And ultimately it worked. And, I'll tell you, somebody reached out to me a couple months ago and said, hey, and I don't know if I should say this publicly or not, but I'm going to anyways.
I love it.
She reached out to me and she said, there's another baking coach who made a comment and I think it was derogatory and I think it was aimed at you, but they did not use your name. And they referred to you as the $5 baking teacher. And you know what? At first I was kind of like, well, whatever. But then I kind of thought about it. It's kind of crossed my mind the last couple months off and on. And I'm like, I think I'm going to change my Instagram bio to that. Like, I think I'm just going to own it. And that is who I am. And not only is it $5, it's the best quality course resource program you're ever going to find. So I don't know. It was just kind of, the price point has been an interesting journey in regards to whether or not I did the right thing. And I think I absolutely did 100%.
Well, I always say that, there's no right or wrong decision. It's just making the decision, right? A lot of people stay on the fence, and that'll lead us into the mindset stuff in a quick question. But one thing that I do say, so my programs are definitely a lot more expensive than what you charge. However, one thing that I have always said is when you pay attention. Do you find, and maybe this is you could blow my theory out of the water right here, but I still trust what I believe. But do you find that since you are such a low price point, that people don't use the resource the way that they probably could or should use it, because it is, let's say you pay the $50 investment, or you're getting that $5 a month taken off your credit card. Do you feel that people just ignore it? Because it is crazy to say, and I've said this on this podcast before, I used to do group programs before I switched to just the one-on-one model. And I have had people pay me $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month that do not show up. Mind blowing that they do not use it for $2,000 a month. So my question, have you seen that people just, don't really give a shit because it's only $5 a month?
No, I think that's a really, really good point. And I agree. I can 100% agree with your thought process on price point when it comes to, if you pay a lot for something, it's more likely you're going to finish the program. And so I think that there is a lot of validity to that. I have found that that's the case with a lot of individuals. I've addressed that by adding some layers now. So there's a new plan. It's called Platinum, and it's still not ultra pricey. It's double the regular pink plan. That one is more for bakers who are really ready to start heading and expanding their bakery and really ready for the next level. There's also some one-on-one consultation packages coming in. Now that price point is going to be completely different, because I'm going to be
time for money, baby.
Yes. So that price point will be very, very different. But I love the fact that, just like in my home bakery, I try to have price points for everyone, because somebody wants to spend hundreds of dollars for a custom cake. Somebody else would just like a slice of cake. So I try to have price points for everyone. I think that's wise in my community too, that if you want to spend more and you want more resources, that option is there for you. But if you're just starting, or you're not even sure if you're going to open a bakery yet, or, that lower price point will help you get in the door at least. So I don't know. That's how I think about it.
No, I love it. And I also do feel like, I think it's I always say it's like a both and, in the fact that like both, yes, people can pay when they pay attention, but also at the same time too, your job is, and I always say that there's 3 jobs in what I do. There's my job, there's my client's job, and there's God's job. I'm only in charge of one job. And I know that God's taking care of his job, but I can't make my clients do anything. Just like you have provided the resource to the bakers, but you did your job. They got to do their job, whether it's $5 or $5,000, it's their job to do. So I love that. I think you can go many ways. So everyone out there, you can be successful and make an impact and make an income charging a high price point, and you can do it with a low price point as well. And I love the fact that we're talking about such a low price point, because, a lot of people feel like you have to charge these extreme prices in order to make a price point or to make a profit. And clearly you don't. So let's go back to the mindset behind starting. So this really kind of came about kind of pandemic time. Is that correct? Like 2020, you talked about it on your website. You were going to farmers markets. Your daughters encouraged you to like, all right, mom, let's do this damn thing. So how did that kind of come about, where you're like, okay, I think I'm going to do this thing? Before was the courses before, or did you start going to the farmers markets with the goods and then you started thinking, okay, how do I really scale this?
Well, kind of all of the above. Excuse me, I have that little naggy cold. Kind of all of the above. So first, my daughter launched a business. We were not an entrepreneurial family at all. And she launched her own business, and this is very aligned to her. She's very strong at it. And so I was kind of watching her journey, and then COVID hit. and we were working remotely from home. And I have 9 grandchildren.
Oh, wow,
And I
girl.
was, yes, she's my oldest. Um, and so I had been feeling for a while that I went into my career in education to be more present with my children. And that had happened while they were young. But then I ended up just kind of climbing the ladder, I guess you could say. And the further I went, um, the further my job became more stressful, more high pressured. I wasn't home a lot. I was traveling a lot. And so COVID, like for all of us, just was kind of a reset. And I thought, okay, I'm I'm being pulled away from my family a lot. And as much as I find purpose there, I'm ready for that to change. Or I'm not ready to return to that, really, is what happened. Um, and so I decided to just start my own little side business. And it was really rocky at first. I didn't know what I was doing. I was selling sprinkles. Mindset was a big part of it. My daughter was selling a product. So I thought, well, I guess you just sell a product. My husband said, why are you
Sprinkles
not
like the
selling your
things that
bake?
go on top of cakes?
Like
Oh, okay.
gourmet, custom. My husband was like, why are you not selling your baked goods? And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I don't want to do that. No. And he was like, I really think that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what you're really good at. And so when it came time for me to really make a decision about my career and really bite the bullet and consider leaving, it was my daughters who were like, Mom, you really need to be selling your baked goods. Why don't you just go to a farmer's market? Um, and just start there. Well, I'm very introverted, not an outgoing person. That did not sound fun to me at all. But they kept encouraging me. So I did it. I went and I sold out. And I had literally, Christina, taken like, I think 36 slices of cake. I had given at least 8 of them away to my grandkids who were there. So I sold maybe, I don't know, 20 something. And I was thrilled. It was such a confidence booster. My daughters really helped me. They're like, Mom, you got to give out samples, go walk around, give out samples. But it was a confidence booster. So from there, I thought, you know what? If I go out into the community, I know I can start earning money right away because I'm going to the customers instead of waiting for them to find me. And that launched a 6-month journey of me going to the market twice per week, taking much, much more than 36 slices of cake. I was running a whole bakery out of that market. And I just kept sharing that journey on Instagram. So when it came time to the courses, as I was sharing that journey, I realized that people out there are very, very intrigued by how to do this. And that's when I started creating the courses and sharing, what had been going well, what had not been going well. Don't do this, do this, those types of things. And so that's how it evolved.
I love that. You guys, one thing that Tiffany said, and I pointed out pretty much on every podcast, is that I truly believe confidence is built by taking action. She didn't wake up confident. She didn't wait till this magical time. She took an action and she built confidence along the way. Do you believe that that's true?
Oh, 100%.
Everyone's
100%.
waiting to feel confident. No, you start by taking an action, and that's where it's a muscle. It's built.
Yeah. And even still, I still feel that even at this point, there are things I'm bringing products back in. So we're bringing in a line. I haven't even announced this to my community yet, but we will be bringing in some products that we'll be shipping. Scared to death about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it anyways. I mean, and this is after I have experienced success every time. When I launched the platinum plan, I was very, very imposter syndrome going on. I launched it anyway. So it's like, I recognize that voice is there to protect me and say, now careful, you don't want to be too vulnerable and get hurt. And I just have to always tell that little voice, well, thank you, but I'm gonna go ahead anyways. And it's the voice is never going to go away. It's
No,
always going to be there.
it literally is like new level, new devil. Like I have clients who are making their first 1,000 and I have clients who are making multiple 7 figures. And you guys, the problems just change. The numbers just change, but like none of this crap goes away. It does not matter. Like there is no level. There is no secret sauce. There is, no course, no coach, no nothing that can actually help you make those things all go away until it's like perfect one day. We're all I don't know if you believe this is true, but I'm sure you do, as successful as you are. We're all getting our ass kicked every single day. So it's just a matter of how fast can you get through it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you really don't. I mean, I will say that now, in comparison to 2 years ago, when I started to hit the markets and those types of things, I am a different individual when it comes to confidence in my business, for sure. But that's only because I've learned, I wouldn't have learned anything had I not started. And even still, if I try to make a little change, or I know earlier this week we were kind of looking at some warehouse spots and retail type spots, and it's like huge fear again. Anytime it's something we haven't experienced before, we're going to have those doubts creep in. But we've got to experience them to start to view ourselves as knowledgeable in that area. There's no
Absolutely.
other way around it.
No, exactly. And I think so many people, you guys, like, I really want you to hear this because Tiffany's created something that's so magical, serving so many humans. She absolutely loves to do it, but she wouldn't do it if she wouldn't have quit overthinking all of the next steps. And I would love to talk about that. Like I talk about that all the time, like what I do today versus what I do 10 years ago. I mean, if I would have thought to today, oh my God, paralyzed, wouldn't have done any of it. And then moving through the fear and making those next steps, something I would love for you to kind of talk about if you can think about something, but like, where has a time been in this journey over the last couple of years that you have quote unquote failed or got your ass kicked?
Oh, goodness.
What example do you want to give?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, let me pull from my list.
Yeah.
Well, if we go all the way back to when I launched well, there's two examples I'd like to share. The first was when I launched my little sprinkle business. I launched a course alongside that for cake decorating because I knew that that was something that I had skill in, was decorating cakes. And I knew that I had a skill set in creating course content because of my career. And so I launched that. And I think over the course of a year, I maybe had 4 or 5 people enroll in that course. And in hindsight, I didn't have an audience. I had not done the work that needed to be done to really start building, trust, all of those things that we know go along with individuals being able to actually provide value to them. And so that was just like, okay, well, that was a wonderful learning experience. That experience really, really helped me when I did launch my full spectrum of courses, though. So I think it was still so beneficial. Um, Another time was when I was going to markets and I decided I'm going to rearrange my entire booth. Every time I come, I sell out. I'm just such a big deal. So people just want to come and buy my cake. And I'm going to rearrange my entire booth and make it more like a little storefront where you walk in. Well, I think I made maybe $40 that day. It was the most uncomfortable day ever. Everybody just walked by us. I was frustrated because when you're spending 5 or 6 hours at an event and there's really nothing that's happening, and I knew it was the change. I knew what I had done wrong. I knew it was not wise in hindsight, but it was a learning lesson for me that, don't change something that's working, and seek input from people as to, normally I had all of my food on full view. Everybody could see it. So that was just a humbling experience. And both of those were humbling experiences. And I would say that I live for those moments because that is when I learn the most. That is when I walk away saying, why did that happen? What will I do differently next time? And how can I teach on that? Because this might be helpful to other people.
That's exactly it, right? So you took that and to be able to serve your clients now, but really listen to what Tiffany said there, guys. Like she actually lives for those. You know, I've heard so many successful people over the years, and I mean, I feel the same that, you know, you learn so much more from your losses than you do your successes. Like you know exactly what to do now in those situations, and you wouldn't have gotten that lesson had you not got your butt kicked that day.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, there's been several others where, I make a decision, and at the time that I make it, I cannot see the future. As soon as I make it and it starts to unfold and it fails, well, now I've got hindsight. It's like,
Exactly.
oh, I should have known that. But if you haven't experienced it yet, you just don't know. And so every time that happens, I think, okay, that is just so failure to me is so much better than success, because that's when you really, really learn the most. And that's when your wisdom really starts to develop. You have a toolkit that you can pull from.
Absolutely, you guys. That's what she said. You know, like decide it's your turn, make a decision. You know, a famous guest of ours forever ago said, indecision is still a decision. Get your ass off the fence or you'll get splinters. So make a decision, you guys. One question I have for you, and obviously you look phenomenal, but you did say that you have 9 grandchildren. So I think you're a little bit older than me. Question I have for you is, how are you still, you know, the people that kind of just shock me and makes me so sad. Like I'm 41, I'll be 41 this fall. I've got literally so much energy for life. I could not even imagine slowing down. I'm just like, oh my God, I just love life so, so, so much. At your age, there's a lot of people that kind of are thinking about slowing down and retiring and like settling. And you're just like, oh, hell no, I'm starting this amazing epic business and I'm crushing life. And I'm about to like open brick and mortar and bring things back into the business. What is inside of you that like keeps you doing that? Like, is there a retirement thing, or are you just fired up?
Oh, I'm just totally fired up. I'll be 53 in November.
You have 9
And
grandkids at 53?
yes,
Oh my
yes,
God, we're not that far
yes,
apart.
yes. I have 9 grandkids at 53. We have 7 children. We're a blended family, but all the grandchildren are from my children.
Oh my
My
goodness.
husband's children are younger. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm just totally fired up. I will say that a generational gap did exist for me with social media. That for sure. I've shared this with my community. If we go back just a little bit to mindset, my mindset was one in which when I launched my business Instagram, I blocked all of my children. They did not even know I launched it. And so I want to share that there. Of course, they're my biggest supporters. And they, within a couple months, they're like, Mom, a friend of mine said that you came up on there, for you. Are you doing something? But truly for me, I'm a thinker and I needed to be able to think without my kids contacting me and saying, what are you doing? This is a little out of character for you. I think a lot of those thoughts that go through our mind can halt us. And sometimes if we can just do something privately, do it, figure out how to do it.
I
And
tell
that
clients that all
stage,
the time. Block whoever you need to block in order to live your purpose. Even
yes,
still
like,
to this day, don't tell anyone.
yeah. And I knew, and I will tell anybody who's listening, it only took me, I knew it was going to be a little embarrassing. I didn't know how to make a reel. I knew it would be silly. I knew it would look silly. I knew it would not be up to par. It only took me maybe 4 weeks before I got over that and said, I'm just going to look a little silly. And I went ahead and my kids were, aware at that point. And it didn't take me long to get over that little hump, I guess I'm going to say. But if you're afraid to get started because you know nothing, then yeah, block whoever you need to block and just put yourself out there and start anyways.
Or start
That's
a new
that's how I
account.
did it.
No, like start a new account. Like start a whole brand new account. Pick a whole new name if you have to. Like maybe use how did the pink crumb
Yeah.
come about, by the way?
Well, yeah, and that was a whole new account.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't block them from like my personal, but from
Yeah.
my business one,
So
I
did you
did.
start your
I
business account from scratch right when you started going to farmers market? Okay. So that was it. Okay.
I started it from scratch when I launched my sprinkle business.
Okay.
And that was started from scratch. It had 0 followers because nobody who knew me knew about it. Your question was, how did the name come about? I just kept thinking about names, and I really love the color pink. I
Me
figured
too.
crumb has to do with baking, so I came up with the word crumb. In hindsight, people just start to know you for your name. I guess I don't feel that as much time as I put into trying to create a name is really even necessary. I think it just, you become your brand,
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if it's a product or something like that, it's a little different, but yeah, absolutely. You've become
Right.
the brand for sure. The question I was going to ask now is, how do you feel about like the course creation and things like that? How do you feel about getting this content all over the world? Like, is this something that you really want to do, or do you still actually love the baking side of it? Do you actually get to do the baking side of it? I mean, obviously all your videos are you setting up a video and baking and all the things, but are you much more on the baking side now, or are you much more on the like coach creation side?
I am much more on the coach creation
Yeah,
side. I do still bake primarily for content, and I do sell those baked goods in my
you do.
community. I do, and my community seems very, very appreciative of that. And so it's a really, really happy medium. When I became an elementary school principal, I started to feel like I was getting kind of further removed from the kids and the teachers and being able to coach the teachers. And then when I moved again into the next position, that even compounded even further. And so I really want to continue selling because that helps me help other bakers. If I'm not doing that, then, but time wise, that can be challenging. So that's kind of a happy medium.
Do you have
I
team?
don't sell nearly. Just now starting to get a team. It's been a solo venture
Girl,
up
you're
to this point.
joking. Oh
No.
my
Mm-mm,
God. Good for you.
mm-mm. Yeah, I just now have assistance from 2 individuals, but that's been very, very, very recent. Very recent.
Oh, that's amazing. I tell all my clients, I was like, I outsource everything. I only do 2 things in life. I enjoy my life and I coach my clients, and that's it. I outsource everything else. Like, if it doesn't bring me, one of my mentors a long time ago said, if it doesn't bring me joy and it doesn't bring me money, I outsource that or get rid of it.
Well, maybe we can have a conversation after this
Yeah,
because maybe you can help me because that is the direction I need to go, is to outsource and make
absolutely.
sure
And
that my time is.
absolutely, your time. And I mean, and this is for anyone listening, you guys, once you get to a certain spot, you have to pick 1 or 2 things you want to get really, really good at, and the things that bring you the most amount of joy and the most amount of income. And this was not from me, this was from a mentor years and years ago. Chris Harder said, if it doesn't bring you joy and does bring you income, you better delegate it or get rid of it, because you never, just like Tiffany said, she's still baking because she loves to bake. I'm still like, one-on-one coaching, like, and I've said this on this podcast 100 times, one-on-one coaching is like the worst use of my time. Like, I could be doing groups, I don't, because I love it. Like, this is like brings me more joy than anything else, working one-on-one with my clients. I have other ways to make money, all the things, but that to be said, you have to figure out like what it is that you love to do and get to do that more often than not, and then hire people who are better at the other things, like doing your reels, doing your accounting, like creating, inputting the courses. Like, did you actually record all the videos, put in the videos, set up Thinkific, and do all the things? You didn't
Oh,
outsource any
absolutely.
of that?
Yes. No. Mm-mm. But
Oh
I
my
will.
God, you're a unicorn.
But I will share, if it's helpful to
Please.
anyone else. The way I built it was, I built the airplane while I was flying it.
Totally.
And so I built one signature course, and it was called Earn a Full-Time Salary Baking from Home. It had 4 modules in it. And that was really my signature course. And I created the content for that. And then I said, I'm going to be hosting it live. and it's going to be 4 days, 2 days, week 1, 2 days, week 2. And then once I hosted that live and I recorded it, now, of course, I have the
Evergreen.
recording.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes. And so people really like the live sessions, but then other people really, they can't be there or they don't like live and they can watch it afterwards. But then what I did from that point, so originally the $4.99 only got you that one course. And then what I started doing was, well, every week on Thursday morning, I'm hosting a new workshop and
Beautiful.
I'm doing it
Love
live. Yes. And every time I would record that workshop. And so now at this point,
You have a huge content bank.
Exactly. And that's how it built momentum, because I was constantly saying, I'm going to be live again on Thursday morning. This is this week's topic. Now, I will say, those were some very rough months because I was cranking out content every week and creating a new workshop. Now, though, oh my goodness, like it's like tomorrow's a guest speaker. I'm not creating any content. Somebody's coming in and sharing with us. So now life is very, very much calmer. But if you're wanting to create something similar like that, you can be creating it on the go and adding to your community or membership or however you're doing it.
Absolutely. And that's the smartest way to do it. Over the years, I've worked with a ton of people who say, even unfortunately, there was this gentleman that did a discovery call for me at one point in time with me. And he created a course that cost him $250,000 to create. I almost fell over. I felt so bad for him. He used his whole retirement, all the things. And one thing that I wish someone would have told it makes me emotional because I just think that there's people doing this stuff all the time and people do not realize. I've always said, if you have the cure to cancer and you have the most beautiful website that has the cure to cancer, but no one knows it exists, you have a website that has the cure to cancer that will never cure anyone. So listen to what Tiffany said. She created it on the go and she figured out before she spent years and she spent so much time, money, energy, effort. She figured out that people want this, but they don't want this. People want this, but they don't want this. And she was able to create what actually people were willing to pay for instead of creating all of this shit that perhaps no one ever wanted.
Yeah.
So smart.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I mean, I think at this point, now that it's built, I could easily, if I wanted to, say with some advance notice that the price point is changing at this point because it is a well-developed program now. So if anybody out there feels like I did that, I'm building it as I go. So I don't want it to be $5,000 program or anything just yet. I think if I could give a piece of advice, please, I would say I am such an overthinker. And one thing I've learned is that when you own your own business, you can make any change that you want at any time. So don't get stuck with what if? That's me. Well, what if I do this and that happens? Or what if I do this and it's wrong? Or what if I do this and then I regret it? Change it. You are the CEO of your business. And I have learned that time and time again that I have created the best plan for something. And then when it all unfolds, nothing in that plan really came true. Mm-hmm. Things that I could have never imagined is what actually came true. And so stop overthinking it and just start taking action because you can tweak and pivot and adjust. And that's what you'll do. And that's just what I consistently do is I just make changes to whatever I want. It's fabulous.
Oh, it's so fabulous. I am so grateful that we connected. I just love this podcast so much. Thank you for doing this. Yeah, you're just like the epitome of everything I say every single week. The 3 pillars, the trademark 3 pillars of everything I coach are decision, faith, and action. And she just said it exactly the way that she needed to. She just decided she's taken some massive action. And, just like you said, it turned out better than you ever thought. One touch of God's favor can change everything, you guys. And do not limit yourself to what can happen because there's one moment that can change everything, but you have to start, and you have to take that action, and you just have to decide that no matter what, because when you have confidence and clarity as a human in business, when you do that, you will be able to figure out the next step. You don't have to know all 25 steps. You just have to be willing to take the next one. So Tiffany, thank you so, so much. How does everyone find you? How do we get in this $5 course? Tell us all the damn things, girl. Tell us all the things.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you can find me on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok and Facebook, but I'm most active on Instagram. It's the Pink Crumb with 2 B's on the end. And then I do have the Pink Crumb website, but really it just funnels you straight to Think Pink Bakers. So www.thinkpinkbakers.com. That's where the community is. There's a free membership there too for anybody who hasn't started yet and they just want to kind of get their feet wet. And then it goes through the Pink Plan and the Platinum Plan and some other fabulous stuff over there. So that's where I'm at. And I'm so grateful that you had me today. This has been so much fun.
So fun. And I'm hoping all your listeners here, because I know that you tell everyone in your community, but I just think it's so helpful for people to realize that like something like this, you guys, where some 47,000 people have gone through her courses in the last 2 years, or not even a full 2 years yet, is just truly, truly incredible. You never know what can happen, but you will 100% know the outcome if you just don't start. So make that decision, decide it's your turn. Tiffany, thank you so much for being here. You guys, everything is in the show notes. Think Pink Bakers. It is always a good time to decide it's your turn. Thanks, Tiffany.